putting this far away from you. I know, but it's far away. How are you, Dr. Rick?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Missed you last time.
Oh, Ashley had it this time. It's a good change.
Kim. Miss Kid. Miss Kid.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
You guys want this over here?
I think so, but I was like, let's go and sit because I feel like there's always another kid.
We can get you another chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, because I don't want to take any of the board members' spots.
No, all of those are full. These ones are full.
Oh, perfect. I'll just sit here then.
Grab you another chair. Yeah.
Thank you.
So on these mics, anytime you guys need to like go quiet, just it's pretty good. So
Okay,
it
perfect.
might take you guys up.
Thank you. I have a question.
Conto, how are you doing, Doctor? Good.
How are you, Mary?
Good, how are you?
Great.
About to have some caffeine. Holy cow. Oh, that must be our new board member. Dr. Parker's talking to.
No,
No? That's
he
not
teaches
him?
in the newcomer. He teaches in the newcomer program.
I wouldn't know who my new person is.
He's not here.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good.
No, ma'am.
I guess we'll find out when he's up, if he comes up there. Or not.
I don't know. He might be rethinking his decision.
Jeff's not going to be very happy.
I got real. I visited with him 3 times the day that he filed.
Oh,
Because of
yeah.
particularly, I
Slacker,
met him
huh?
at Minidoka. We got his signature, and just a quiet guy. I mean, he announces at the ball games. Someone told me that he announced at the football games.
Football or basketball.
I think that's right.
This kid would know that.
Take care. You guys
Hi. Good, how are you?
Really good. You gonna do some report tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Good.
Make it entertaining.
We'll have to
All right, I'll
see
do my
what
best.
20 Hey, Bonnie. Jared's got a question for you.
I'm good, how are you? Cheyenne, Wyoming. Keeps further and further and further away. Henri. He'll be home this weekend, though.
Well,
We've been pheasant
we're going
hunting.
to talk about.
Are you friends with him on
parental rights
Facebook?
Policy.
No? That's okay. That's okay. There you go. I see. It wasn't the wife then, huh?
Yeah.
So this is what's being addressed at the PPAT, one of these Ambers. This is what's being addressed at the PPAT. Did you just tell your friend?
Nope. I got an email that they were coming to present
Okay, so,
at the next December meeting.
okay, so this must be what it is. These are the comments. I'm keeping this though, she's handing it out.
Okay.
So,
Might have her email one to Miss Whitmore.
Politics and religion are
Whitmire.
kind of.
well, this is the topic of discussion being held on December 9th.
Yeah. For us, the policy is the law. And so, and that's what we're going to talk
Don't
about.
know either.
Okay,
Well, I might
so
talk a little bit about stakeholders. I was researching
let me ask her a couple.
What's that?
the stakeholders of that whole idea.
She's going the wrong way.
Corporate America for quite a few years, but it's been, the government. It's quite interesting when I was reading about it, so I figured
So are you staying home for Thanksgiving?
We're going to Island Park,
Oh, okay. Take your snow boots.
you think?
Sometimes it gets pretty bad there.
In November? Okay. Well, my wife is debating whether to buy a snowmobile or an ATV. I said, you don't like hot weather. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you.
I'm okay, but thank you.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi. How are you? You're so good. How are you? Good.
I really would like to look at the curriculum. I like more for teaching.
Sure.
Keep hearing about the critical race thing. Somebody's going to ask sooner or later. It's not in the curriculum somewhere.
Yeah.
Are they talking to us tonight?
Yes.
She's just going to say she wants to talk about it at the parent
I
page,
think when they
and this
took
is
all
just a
these
little bit of information.
online classes came available, parents sat back and watched what their kids were learning.
I think she said her mic is on.
Who's the guy in
So
the
is
red
ours.
shirt?
I was always afraid I'd say something risque or questionable.
So good. How are you?
Yes.
We need to start.
First of all, welcome to our November board meeting. We thank you for your attendance and coming to join us tonight. Hopefully we don't bore you to death with the business of the school district, but that's what we are here to conduct. As we start out this evening, then I want to again welcome you, and we will have a prayer tonight led by our attorney who gives us good advice, Reed Cotton, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cody Beckley and Chesney Funderburk. Did I say that right? So please stand.
Father, we're grateful to be gathered here this evening to discuss the needs of the school district and pass the time includes guide the discussion time that the board knows that tonight includes they can make decisions on the best interest of the children here. Demonstrating kindness and openness and you're the reason we're here. We pray for these things in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ.
Amen. One, two, three, guys. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated. As we start this meeting, I would request a silent roll call. I would like to say that Mr. Gibson was unable to be here tonight. He had to do something out of town. And so we definitely miss his presence here tonight. And we only have one more meeting with him before he goes off. And it's going to be a sad night, but that's the way it goes. We have one agenda item that came up before us, and it has to do with some money that the state government is giving us. And so I would ask for a motion to amend the agenda to include under the business section the funds from the state. Governor's
sub/classified.
Yeah, sub/classified funding monies that we are getting.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to take action on it before December 15th, and that's before our next board meeting. So I would entertain a motion. Is there someone who would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Parker, second by Mrs. Anderson. Any further discussion or question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have added item to our agenda. Now I would also entertain a motion for approval of said agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Anderson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sukan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have our agenda. Were there any questions from anybody on what you saw on the consent agenda, the minutes, the payment of bills, etc., disposition of property and travel requests, as well as personnel? Hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. Ms. Gates, are you ready to give us a report?
Oh, yeah.
Is this one? Yep, that should be good to go. Our Minidoka representative will be giving us a report now. Is the light on?
I don't know.
Is the little one there?
I think. All right, there we go. All right, so I got the agenda for Minidoka, and so to start off, our Hope Squad, they are going to hold a Friendsgiving at the high school on the November 22nd, and they're going to bring in kids that don't have a lot of friends at the high school, and they're going to make them feel like they have a place and give them somewhere to feel like they belong. And then they brought in donations from businesses around our area to help pay for that meal for all of the kids. And this past Thursday, the 11th, one of our members from the Hope Squad, they got to go to, they called it a Hope Squad officer training for mental health and suicide prevention at the Hope Squad Corporation office over in Provo, Utah. And he said it was absolutely amazing, and he learned a lot, and he's excited to use what leadership skills that he learned there. And then for our Veterans Day, members of our reflections, they got to sing the national anthem over the intercom at school, and then our band contributed also by playing taps over the announcements. And then after all of the announcements were done that morning, Mr. Ryan's class put together a video for all the veterans to honor them in our homeroom classes. And then on our Tough Enough to Wear Pink Day at school, we all had to dress up in pink, and all the kids in our first hour, we went around and we collected coins. And after adding up all the coins, we raised over $1,000. And all of that money we will be donating to the Minidoka Memorial Breast Cancer Awareness program. And so they were really grateful, and Ms. Kidd said that some of them teared up when they heard how much money we raised, because we didn't think that we were going to get that much, to be honest. And over 80% of that was all in coins. So that was pretty amazing. And then for our trunk or treat, this year was an amazing turnout. We had double the people come for all of our clubs, and so we had tons of trunks, and more people than ever showed up to come participate in that. So that turned out fantastic. And then our teachers also had a costume contest, and they said it was a blast, and they absolutely loved it. And then we are super happy that our levy finally passed, and we wouldn't be functioning without that. So we're very grateful for that. And then for our state swim, they did amazing, and several kids from Minidoka placed for state this year. So we're very proud of them. And then for our choir kids, some of the students, they qualified for all state, and that will be held in January or February this coming year. And then last but not least, we have our machine operating class, and it's an incredible program that we have at school that a lot of kids take advantage of. And our first year students, they just moved that said that we could go into class on Fridays instead of having to go in at 6:30 in the morning. And our first year students, they will go in from 7 to 9, and then our second year students will go in from 9 to 11 for those classes. So that's all I got for you guys today.
Okay, great. So which teacher did you like their costume the most?
Ooh, I don't know. I can't remember. Halloween feels like forever ago. I can't remember what I am supposed to do for homework tonight, let alone Halloween class.
So you did not have a contest.
So nobody stood out to you.
Huh?
Okay.
Nobody stood out to you.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. My mind's blank.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I thought maybe something stood out and that you can tell us all about it.
I know. I'm trying to think, but I can't think of anything. I don't think we dressed up.
This kid was wearing something.
You were
Raggedy Ann doll.
You're a scarecrow.
That's awesome. Yeah, but a lot of people dressed up, and it did turn out really good. I do remember that. So, all right. Well, any more questions?
Thank you
All right,
for giving us this information, and appreciate your attention and your time to come and do this for us. Mount Harrison, do you have something for us as well tonight? It should already be on, I hope.
She turned it off. She turned it off. There's a green one. There's a little one right there.
Just hold it close.
All right. So what we've had this week for Mount Harrison, we had a college week, and so all the students were able to wear the their favorite colleges and the colleges they would like to go to. Um, and we were able to speak to the ISU counselor for to speak with us and see if we wanted to go visit. And I've been looking into colleges. I'm gonna visit ISU this coming Thursday. I'm also visiting Lewis and Clark um, Saturday, and I've been visiting other colleges and talking to them of certain opportunities that we could all have for their scholarships. Um, and then for the college week, we've had our ASVAC tests. All the seniors were able to participate in that. Some of us were able to talk to the one of the recruits that visited us during that week, which was pretty good. I got some information from, I think it was the army recruit and one of the National Guards.
So for Halloween, we hosted a dance and like a Halloween mashup, and we did the trunk or treat at the square, and we were the only high school there. Um, for the dance, we only had like a week to set it up, and uh, that was along with planning the trunk or treat, so we had to set that up pretty quickly. We also, for Veterans Day, hosted a veterans dinner, and we had a lot of people show up and serve dinner to them and help them out, and
Okay, so for parent teacher conference, we will be holding like a photography thing for families that so like how family like they have family pictures in their house and some of them don't. We want to offer them a free like picture to take a picture of them for free. um, and then from the leftover candy from the trunk or treat, we're gonna use them for um, grateful cards for all the students at the school, and we just want to appreciate, like, we want them to know that we're thinking of them, and that's what we're going to use the candy for, and that's it.
And then one more thing that we are doing for this week for our student council, we are heading up to a course for CSI, and we are also visiting Canyon Ridge to talk to their student council and see how they operate things and how they um, schedule their events and how they all communicate to each other. And what we found out, they all all their grades, so freshman to senior, have their own student council, and we would like to know how they run things. And that's it.
Great.
Sounds good. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
bringing us the information. We appreciate it. And it's nice to have you all come together, and thank you for bringing them.
Some skateboarded, some rode bikes, some walked.
But they're here, and we appreciate it.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's something I was going to do earlier that I skipped over, and I just wanted to give this certificate of election to Mary Anderson. On election day, she was reelected to be a trustee, so she will continue with us, and this was given to us to give to you.
We're going to take a picture, stand up.
Yeah.
So hand it out to her, shake hands with her or something.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Can you read it? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That one's from Carrie, by the way. She was given,
Thank you.
She wanted you to get it. All right. Thank you, Heather. Are you all set up now that I gave you that brief intermission?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect.
So tonight I did stick some papers on your table. And so I decided to do things a little different for our good news. And I wanted to spotlight a new reading initiative that we're doing at Osequa Elementary. I can't take credit for the idea, but we were at a training. It was probably a little over a year ago, and they talked about this idea of about one book, one school. And so everybody in the school reading one book during the month and trying to get the community involved. So we started this in October. So you can see the newsletter that was sent out to all parents. And our very first book in October was Cannonball Inn. And so this newsletter does go home to parents. It gives them something that they can do at home to work with their students on. And then we've done something fun within the school. So for October, we had baby pictures posted on a bulletin board, and students had an opportunity to guess who the staff member was. Underneath the baby picture, that individual talked about jumping in and overcoming a fear that they had. So that was really fun to try to see and guess the different staff members. And for November, our book is Eraser. And this month we are just focusing on the kids that go above and beyond, so that are trying really, really hard, are willing to go back the second time, erase their mistakes and try again. And so when they get a little coupon, they can come to the office and pick a fun eraser out of this jar, and I get to call home with the good news. So we have a book for every month for this school year, and we do an opening assembly and just get everybody excited about it. So something fun and new at Asequa this year.
Sounds exciting.
This is so cute. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
It is good.
Any questions?
I like it.
How do they all get copies of the book? Are they electronic?
So the actually our school purchased a book for every classroom, and so the teachers are able to read those books. And then we've been able to link some of the books are read by authors or different people online, so parents are able to access that just through an online version. So it's been really fun, and the kids are really excited when the first of the month comes. They're sure to remind you, hey, we can't wait to see what the new book is. So we're getting December ready and are super excited about it.
So which teacher got figured out the easiest from their baby picture? Was there one? Who was it?
Yeah.
Was it you, Heather?
Was it you?
Maybe. Which baby picture?
Did they figure out who it was?
A handful did, yeah. There was one boy in particular that he could just look and say, that's so and so, that looks like so and so, and I was like, how'd you get that?
Wow.
So he definitely had an eye for it, but it was a lot of fun.
Put him on the FBI.
That's good. And by the way, I do like your Facebook. Is it Facebook that you post, or on your news for Asequa?
Yeah,
I like
we're trying
that.
to do both platforms, so
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook. So
Okay.
usually we'll post to both, but it will hopefully hit whichever one
I
a
enjoy
family is more comfortable with. So
I enjoy that. Thank you
Good.
so much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Mrs. Hepworth?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Better hope a rain don't come through and throw this all over the floor.
Okay. We're down to patron. Justin.
Oh, up top, sorry.
Oh, no. Okay. Down to patron comments. First of all, the second one here is from Jared Orton. It's having to do with parental rights and all. And Mr. Orton, we are going to be discussing that later, so I think that will be covered at that time. Amber Bateman has requested to talk a little bit about a program that she has gotten information on. She gave each of us some information, and so if you want to give us just a 3-minute or less talk, that would be great.
Sure. Is
That one's probably
better?
the easier one to use.
Here we go. Yeah. I have to eat it. Madam Chair and members of the board, Superintendent, appreciate your opportunity to speak to you tonight. I would like to have you guys take a moment and look at the handout that I gave to you. It's Self-Government Works. This is a stimulation program that is used to go with, hand in hand already with your history classes and your U.S. government classes. So it's not taking any place of anything. It's actually adding 2 classes that are already being taught in schools. and it's giving kids opportunities to learn a little bit about how to govern themselves, and also learn about a little bit what oppression looks like, chaos, how to stabilize that and maintain throughout your life and throughout history as you go through looking at things that our forefathers have dealt with over the time from the time they got here, like on the Mayflower, clear up until the Civil War. I will be working with his name is Bill Norton and Sarah Norton. They're part of the group that helped put this together with Bellevue University. They will be helping me to present this at the parent patron meeting on December 9th from 12 to 1. They'll be attending via Zoom, so hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties. I really hope not. But they'll kind of give you a little presentation on how this all works in the classroom and show you the simulations and a little video that goes along with that and stuff. So if you're interested and like to attend, we'd be glad to have you there. And yeah, any questions I can answer for you?
Just so you know that at the last meeting, it ended up being changed. It'll be from 12:30 to 1:30 this in December.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
That's the time that was decided then, just for administrators to be able to come. So cool. I did look through this after you presented it or gave it to me before, and I thought there's a lot of interesting ideas and concepts through here. So ways to teach children.
Yeah,
I thought that it was well presented. So did look at it after that meeting.
Yeah.
Grade level?
Oh, grade level. This can cover any grade from 7th to 12th grade. So yeah, if we can get history teachers involved, civics, or government of any kind, that would be super. But really, I mean, this is great for homeschool, whatever. This can be stimulating into adding anywhere in all aspects of life. So yeah, check out the website. It's just selfgovernmentworks.com. Hopefully we can give you a little more information there too, and hope to see most of you, if not all of you, on December 9th. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we are to the administrator and department and committee reports. Did anyone have any questions regarding any of those, that like the safety inspection, anything that was seen, done in those areas? Anything that anyone in the audience that had presented, like the ELL and migrant ed report, did anybody have any questions or anything that they wanted to add to what was put into these reports for us? Okay. There's just a few of them here, so it was great bedtime reading. Yeah. Okay.
I like seeing the comments on the safety reports and all the solutions to the. Some of them were just taking out an extension cord, or all the way to some more difficult things. But
what I found most interesting, the number of times that some of them had been on the report,
right,
that have not quite been dealt with yet. Okay. The next item is discussion with transportation on early dismissal and emergency closures. Colleen and Mr. Edwards. I guess it's Ryan that's going to talk to us. Do we get to call you Hopalong now?
You betcha. At least for a little while. Okay, we've been looking into, we actually started earlier this year, to figuring out, just in case we have snow days, which we hoping we don't this year. And it's going to end up running a lot like we did last year, unfortunately. You know, you're going to have your elementary, a couple of your elementaries are going to have early release and late releases in order to get everybody home at the same time. We typed up kind of estimated times, at what time we'll need to get out and what time we'll be to the next school. They're estimated, and we estimated late, hopefully, so that we're there earlier than what we said. We will bring a list of all the children to every elementary school and what buses they go on. We got a hold of the elementaries and they sent us the list of everybody on each bus. So we went through them and added anybody that we knew rode a bus that may not be on the list. But when we get them to the elementaries, if we've missed any, please let us know. So we're trying to do this so we don't have any lost kids. We know how that goes. And so we will probably Wednesday deliver those to each elementary and answer any questions you might have. Voice your concerns to us so maybe we can address them before we early release days. We know we have the 2 early release days and hopefully that's it. But only time will tell. So any questions? Yes.
Who's going to call me on snow day? You,
I will.
the county, or the state?
I'll call you.
Okay.
I'll call you after I talk to the county.
Good.
So.
Do you like 4 a.m. phone calls?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not going to go out?
The county doesn't get out till after 4, so it'll be after 4 anyway.
Okay. Any other questions? I know they get out early before Christmas.
And then the last day of school.
Early release the day on the one before Christmas.
Last day.
And then the last day of school is early
and
release.
The last day of school. Okay, so those.
So hopefully that's the only 2.
True. However, we do need
the snow. So
Mountains would
it's
be
just
great.
my suggestion. If it looks like we may end up calling it, I say we call it before we get to school. Be a lot less headache.
You let Mother Nature know that, okay?
What's that, Mary?
You let Mother Nature know that, okay?
You betcha.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my kids will like that plan too. So.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the help and the information, and sounds like you guys are trying to stay ahead of it. Thank you very much. Mr. Catmull, this delightful bedtime reading material that you distributed to us. Are we going to hear some highlights and some lowlights, or what?
I'm not going to hold that, so hopefully I just speak loud enough. And you said at the get-go that you were going to try to not bore you to death, but we're going to talk about finances. And so I'll tell you what I did when I was younger, just to break the ice a little bit. When I fought fire for the BLM, we had to go to fire school, and we had to sit in the CSI for 2 weeks and have somebody explain how not to burn up. And it got really, really boring. And so after a while, we started trying to make it fun. So we would wager how many times the presenter would say or okay or during the presentation, and whoever got the closest would win the bet. And so I'm going to really try hard to not say any of those words tonight, but if I'm getting boring, just start counting them up and we'll see the tally at the end.
Now, I will count how many likes, like. That's what I will count.
I'd like to thank the school board and Mr. Ramsey and Michelle DeLuna and her staff for the opportunity to perform the audit for the school district. I was engaged to perform the financial statement audit for the year ended June 30th, 2021. The audit report in your packet is on page 1, and it is a clean audit report, except one exception, which is for an accounting standard that the district in previous years has elected not to apply, and has been determined by the State Department of Education that that's acceptable. It's related to post-employment benefits, and not to get into too much detail, the State Department of Education doesn't care, and the cost to implement that to the district outweighed having a small paragraph in the report that said we carved that out and we didn't audit that. So other than that, my audit report is a clean audit report, and that's consistent with the previous audit reports that the district has received. The district's finances are broken out into various funds, which is required by governmental accounting or fund accounting. And the district has some major funds: the general fund, the debt service fund, the plants facilities fund, the food service fund, and then various non-major funds. And so all your finances are broken out in your accounting system into these various funds, and we perform an audit of those funds. The district also has one fiduciary fund, which is a fund that they hold money for the benefit of outside individuals. That's the scholarship funds. During the year, the Accounting Standards Board, which governs governmental accounting standards, issued one new accounting standard that the district adopted this year. It's called GASB, which stands for Governmental Accounting Standards Board Statement number 84, relating to fiduciary funds. The change didn't have any district or any effect on the district, but essentially said that student body activity funds are now encompassed under the finances of the district. That's already been implemented in the policies of the district. Some districts didn't, but that change didn't have any effect on the actual accounting policies of the district, just the presentation in the financial statements. A little bit of an overview of my audit. What we do is we perform audit procedures to confirm as much as we can independent from the district regarding your finances. So we get confirmation from the state, the county, and the federal government, all the revenue that you receive. There's reports, and we tie it back to the district's accounting system. We confirm your bank account balances at the year end. We observe your accounting system. We observe accounting staff performing their functions. We sample expenditures based on dollar amount and based on payee, and then just a complete random sample. I actually get a report that shows every check and every expenditure written by the district, and I review it, look for names and things that look different or out of whack, or checks to related parties or anything of that nature. And so, to the extent we can confirm externally, we do, and then accounting and schedules. So we run tests to make sure that employees are being paid based on state salary schedules and those requirements. Payroll, we do tests on that, which is the biggest expenditure of the district. By reviewing each bank reconciliation and actually get a report of all the expenditures out of those funds and review those as well. Current 14 shows the ending balances in your funds. The good news is that the general fund balance is up at the end of the year to $2.5 million, which is great. I was mentioning to Michelle when I sat down that when I was on the board, it was about 490,000, which is in her discussion on page 4, 5, or 6. And those were some lean years, and that's good to see that the district. I'd have to find out where the page is. Let me find it. 7. Page 10. And that shows the fund balance for the general fund over time. The reason that we talk about the fund balance in the general fund is that's the money that's available as a contingency that you can designate as a rainy day fund. All the other funds in all your other accounts are spoken for other purposes. 2013 was I think there was some discussion about making payroll and having cash on hand, but definitely the last 7 or 8 years is a test to the district of sound financial policies and procedures to get that fund balance up. and having it be roughly 5% of expenditures, which is what your goal is, 5% of the general fund expenditures. And so very good reserve there. And that was, some of it was attributable to the CARES and ACT money and the ESSER, I don't know how to say it, one of the funds that the government gave, or the governor gave out. But that was a good result there. Food service fund balance is $560,000. And this is, I have some graphs in the very back if you want to look at these. It shows the trends. This is the first one, is the trends for the general fund over time. And we can talk about the general fund a little bit. General fund revenues, the next graph, 90% of the revenue for the general fund comes from the state, which is understandable. They provide you with all your funding. And then 8% is property taxes, which is your supplemental levy. Expenditures, as you can see on the next graph for the general fund, instructional versus support. So instructional is teachers, and everything else is the support services. Transportation, 7%, debt service. Your overall governmental funds, which is all the funds I mentioned first, general, food service, debt service, and plants facilities, you can see that 67% of your revenue comes from the state, 19% from the federal government, and then 10% on property taxes and some others. And so overall confirms what I said earlier. Federal and state governments can provide you most of your revenue, and then with some property taxes. And I don't want to get too political, but as a person that does taxes for a living, I'm sure there's going to be a bond election coming up, and maybe I can be an advocate for that. Is that of all the taxes that we pay, the one tax that stays here in the district or in the community is property taxes. And the value of that, well, to see a good community, they always put value on education, and there's a big misunderstanding about district finances. Of all the expenditures, the $70 million or whatever the total expenditures were, 30 million out of the general fund, exactly zero can be spent on plant facilities. And so to improve facilities and to reduce class size, you have to have bond election, and it has to be passed, and there's just no way around it. And so I'm sure that one will come along, and maybe I can help be a clarifier of information when it comes to that, because I like my tax dollars to go to something that actually can see and is controlled here locally, and that's definitely one of those. So sorry for the side note.
It's a good one though.
The other funds for plant facilities, debt service, you made all your bond payments and your debt payments on time. Food service provided the services as required based on state requirements and everything else. We tested the student body activity accounts at the end of the year. It was about 450,000 were the ending balances in all those accounts. Part of our audit was to perform an audit of your federal awards, and which is considered a single audit. So we have to go through and test some of the federal awards that you received. The three funds that we tested this year were the CARES Act, the coronavirus, like the rebound money, and then the COPS grant for the security awards that you received. And so what we do is we look at those expenditures and make sure the federal government issues a compliance supplement, which lists all the requirements for the expenditures, and we go and make sure that those expenditures were in accordance with those requirements, and they all were. Part of our audit is to look at your controls, and we previously discussed some of that process. Overall, I feel that the district's, I'm not engaged to opine on the financial health. I'm engaged to opine on the financial statements as a whole, but I feel that the financial controls and the financial health of the district as well, the good reserves and the general fund reserves, is definitely good news. Any questions related to my performance of the audit?
Sounds like good news. So
And I wish the kids hadn't left because they were talking about Idaho State, and I'm a product of Idaho State and a product of Minidoka County education system, and just wanted to tell them, go for it, go to college.
Do you want us to applaud now?
No, you don't need to applaud. Because there might be a year where you have to dip into that fund balance, and then it won't be great news, and then you applaud it. Then.
Thank you. You did a good job.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It's nice to know that we are in okay status, and that is an attestation to the job that our business office does, and we do thank them for their work on all of this. Thank you. One of the recommendations that Mr. Catmull had was a possible change up of the purchase order approval process. And so I think that, does anybody have any other questions about what was said earlier on the purchase over? We talked about it some during the work session, just so you know. And I think that unless there's something else someone has to say, I believe everything has been said. We're going to switch it up so that there's a little bit of change in approval. Okay. The policy discussion for tonight is policy D440.00 parental rights, D442.00 parental involvement, and policy D442.00P, which is the parental involvement procedure. One of the reasons we wanted to bring this up is in relation to the resolution that was presented to us last month. And basically, as we've discussed this and looked at it, I think each of us have read through that. We've thought about it. I'm not going to say we've talked about it a lot, other than just to say we think that what governs us are the policies that we have in place. And that is our statutory responsibility. And we want to see to it that our policies align with Idaho Code, and that is what we have to go by. And we do believe that our policies do align with the resolution as well as with Idaho Code. We want to possibly strengthen some of them. That's why we're looking at these tonight. And so because of that, I'm not sure that any of us say that we want to sign that resolution, but we do want to use it as a jumping point to double check and make sure that we are doing the best that we can, because we believe in parental rights. And that is our obligatory statutory responsibility as a school board. And that's where we want to go on this. And did anybody have anything that they saw? Oops, excuse me. Oh, gracious. I apologize. I hope you're all awake now. As far as these policies, there really were, like I said, we believe strongly that our parents are the ones that have the right to say what their children are being educated. We do not want to be hiding anything from them. I just went really tiny. Sorry, it went really little and I couldn't read it. There is a statement in the parental rights one: a parent who has objection to their child's participation in the district's adopted curriculum and or the district's implementation of practices, policies, and procedures in accordance with educational mandates on the basis that it harms the child or impairs the parent's firmly held beliefs, values, or principles may withdraw their child from the activity, class, or program. That's just a start of where we believe that we need to be honoring parents and their legal rights. Mr. Sukan has something that he printed off after checking each of the codes that are referenced on these, on Idaho codes. We did think that possibly there could be some, after I read that, I thought there could be some addition of that. Would you read it, please?
Sure. Yeah, as I was looking through this policy 440.00 parental rights, I mean, it's got some fairly strong comments in it, but nothing that really struck me as, screaming. We have a lot of strong parental rights until I looked up some of the Idaho code that are on the bottom of the policy that where the legal references are, and I looked up some of those. The second statement in this policy is the board is mandated to adhere to laws, rules, and regulations, including the Constitution of the state of Idaho, the rules of the Idaho State Board of Education, the rules and regulations of the Idaho State Department of Education, the laws, rules, and regulations of the federal government and the U.S. Department of Education, as well as educational provisions outlined in the Idaho Code. And some of these codes that I looked up, for example, Idaho Code 32-1012, the parental right to direct the education of children. Parents who have legal custody of any minor child or children have the fundamental right and duty to make decisions concerning their education, including the right to cause the child to be educated in any manner authorized under Section 33-202 Idaho Code. One of the other ones I read, Code 32-1010, the Idaho Parental Rights Act, number 3. The interests of the parents include the high duty and right to nurture and direct their children's destiny, including their upbringing and education. The state of Idaho has independent authority to protect its parents' fundamental right to nurture and direct their children's destiny, upbringing, and education. So as I read through some of these statutes, I realized that even though it wasn't spelled out real directly in this policy, the fact that it says that the board is mandated to adhere to these codes and statutes, when you go to the codes and statutes, it's spelled out pretty plainly, and I don't know if we could maybe try to include some more of these direct things out of statute into our policy, so the parents, as a parent of kids in this district, I mean, this hits pretty close to home, and I think that's maybe an area where we could, maybe reach out and try to get some more of this information in this policy, so it's a little easier to understand the district's position on parental rights.
So just in the 440.
In the 440.0, or at least that's the one we're talking about first here.
Got it.
But and I think that's something that, as these issues come to light, certainly across the country right now, I think this is something that, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think we need to be getting this information out on our website, on our Facebook, to let parents know that, hey, this is, this other stuff that's going on around the country is not indicative of how we roll here in our district. So, and I mean, granted, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a farmer, so I'm just seeing this as I read it, but I felt better about it though after I looked up the Idaho statutes. It seemed a lot more ironclad to me.
Would you like those to go to the PRC then? December.
What was your question, Carrie?
What was it? If you would like those to go to Policy Review Committee to put those in for December.
Do you
That's up to
see
the board.
having policy review look at possibly including more of the
Including that
statute
in-
language within our policy?
I think I would like for it to go so they can look at it. Number one, it would give them open their eyes maybe a little bit, and it give the parents maybe a little bit more to read out there and let them know where we stand.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just want them to. I want our policies to have teeth to show that we strongly believe that the parents have the right
Yes.
to
Right.
Okay.
Well, and
agree.
our policies are law. I mean, that's what we are
Exactly.
governed by as a district. It's the most important thing that we probably deal with.
Would it be all right if I made a little statement?
Sure. I'll give you 3 minutes. Just state your name, please, when you do.
Jared Orton. I just want to, in that resolution, the main thing is talking about stakeholders. And I'm on the Minidoka Planning Zoning Board also, and we're reviewing the comprehensive plan for Minidoka right now. And the term stakeholders keeps coming up. And so I was like, okay, what is this stakeholder thing? Because I want to know what it is. Who is it really referenced to? And so as I did some research, mostly it's been applied to corporate America, but it's making its way into governance and school districts and counties and state government as a way to identify and rank who's the most important people and who do we need to appease. And so a couple different companies I found online that their whole company's purpose is to help you decide who the most important stakeholders are. And one of them, it says a stakeholder analyst is a systematic way to analyze stakeholders by their power and interest. High power, high interest stakeholders are key players. Low power, low interest stakeholders are least important. And so I think in that resolution, parents could probably be classified as maybe low power, low interest a lot of times just because we're not organized the way some of the other groups are. And so it might be something to look at defining as you're reviewing those and making some more teeth that we might want to, because that is a word that is definitely being used and being pushed into the rest of politics and everything we do. And so just maybe as a preemptive, as you're looking at that, go, let's define this word because it is being used a lot. And that, I think, would give some more teeth also to those policies. So thank you very much.
Well,
Any
that
questions?
certainly brings a definition that I had not thought of.
Right.
As far as a parent, I mean, we consider, this is me speaking, but stakeholders are those parents, grandparents, community members, anybody who has a vested interest in the education of our children.
Right.
And I guess I would never consider a parent a low powered person,
to
but
go on that, a couple examples they gave was like if you had a government project you were doing, there was a list of up to 53 stakeholders, and the taxpayer was the second from the bottom. So I was like, interesting. When I asked our Minidoka building administrator, well, who's the stakeholders? Who are we going to, because we're going to put together a committee that will review the planning, zoning, or the comprehensive plan, and then that will determine the growth of Minidoka for the next 10 years probably. And he said, well, we'll get together the big corporations and we'll get the small businesses and we'll get the cities and we'll get the input from the state and some legal people. And I was like, well, what about the people that live in the actual county? He was like, well, yeah, I guess we'll present it to them too. And so it's just the way it's being presented as a way, maybe not the way we think about it, but the way that it's coming down, it's a way to really kind of eliminate the individual's participation in a lot of things. And it's not very clearly defined right now, so I think putting the definition on it would help to definitely get out in front of that before definition is pushed on us and we have to follow it. So.
well, I certainly thank you for bringing that to our attention because it's not something
Yeah, it wasn't
that was anywhere in my purview on what a stakeholder meant.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. So perhaps when this goes to the policy review committee, they can also include a definition of our stakeholders and parents and everything. Is there any more discussion that you feel that we need to look at regarding all of the policies, the 440, the 442, and the 442P?
When I looked through the 442 policy, this one deals with parent and family engagement. I know and this talks about the Title I situation, which Mr. Ramsey said that's mostly the elementary schools.
Reading, low income reading funding. And it goes elementary through middle school, I found out.
Title One.
K through 8.
Title
Yes.
One does.
Title One, we're school-wide on Title One, so we're actually school-wide because of our low income, but we use the money for our elementary and our alternative school.
And I was going to say, isn't the alternative
But-
part of it as well?
Yeah, I wasn't completely sure how
Okay, she's going to need to repeat
how that all worked, but when you read through this policy and you get down to the section about
Have to repeat it.
empowering parents, it actually goes into a lot of detail about at what lengths the district can go to involve parents. And I was actually pretty surprised at some of this stuff I read. To the extent of should provide materials and training to help parents work with their children to improve their children's achievements, such as literacy training and using technology, including education about the harms of copyright piracy as appropriate to foster parent involvement. Shall educate teachers, specialized instructional support personnel, principals, and other school leaders and other staff with the assistance of parents and the value and utility of parental participation, and in how to reach out to, communicate with, and work with parents as equal partners to implement and coordinate parent programs and build ties between parents and schools. May pay reasonable and necessary expenses associated with local parental involvement activities, including transportation and childcare costs, to enable parents to participate in school-related meetings and training sessions. That one kind of surprised me. I didn't realize that they would pay the parents way to get there to be able to participate. May train parents to enhance the involvement of other parents. So I think this policy is pretty solid as far as, I mean, going into a lot of detail of basically, please, come be involved. As far as with and I get that's a requirement of being a Title I classification. I've been on the board for 2.5 years now. I'm still learning how a lot of this stuff works, but I thought that one was just in my opinion spelled out pretty clearly.
Okay, any other comments or questions? No. Thank you for bringing those up. Appreciate your research into that. And yes, we all had it, but it's always helpful to have someone else read it out loud.
As a parent, I kind of feel like I have a little bit of a vested interest here in some of this. So.
I think the reports we heard from the schools are more parental involvement now. They're working at that too.
They are.
So I think that's good to know.
That's
and it seems to be successful.
Critical.
Yes.
Well, and I still think that as a board, maybe we could do a better job of getting that word out to parents that, hey, please come be involved in your kids' education. Whatever we can do. I don't know. So that they know our position on this.
I'm sure the teachers would love a lot of their help.
Yeah.
If they would help their children. Bless you.
Okay. Is there any other thing that anyone wants to say regarding any of these? Okay. Then we will, I think we have covered E as well as F on these discussions. And did anyone have any questions for Mr. Ramsey on his superintendent report? I could ask you the same question that I ask my grandchildren sometimes. What was the best part of your month?
You're not going to like it. Getting to go help IT hang 2 smart TVs at Mount Harrison. And then putting furniture together at Minidoka. That was a good day.
I think my highlight was passing of the levy.
Oh, I was going to, that was on my addition.
Yes.
Yes, can I make a comment, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
I want to publicly recognize and thank the patrons that voted for the supplemental levy. This is going to help with many projects over the next 24 months. The facilities committee has put together and ranked what they feel is important, and I'm going to share that with the board, and they give us the green light. We will proceed accordingly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I think we should have publicly thank our patrons out there for supporting our levy. It says a lot for a community to come together, and I hope they can come together when it comes time. We need that bond.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody that voted.
It's an interesting thing to sit at the courthouse and watch the votes come in and keep your fingers crossed and your toes crossed and everything. But everything was looking pretty positive, and it was really nice to have that come out as on the positive side.
I have a question on Mr. Ramsey's report. Just more of a personal interest, but the machine operators program, apprentice program meeting you went to, was that one from Minico, or is that one that was over at Harrison?
Mount Harrison.
Mount Harrison.
Okay, is there one at Minico? I heard so.
We participate in it.
You do?
I think we send our students to one, but now they've moved it to Highland, High Desert, because
it's High Desert Milk this year. Do you have students in it? You have one, right?
We have two.
Two, okay. Just curious.
Mr. Jeppesen really promotes that program to our juniors and seniors.
So was that all you wanted to say about the supplemental?
For anybody interested, the deadline's been moved to the end of November to apply.
It's a good program. It's really a good program.
Yep, Mr. Jepson does a really good job with that.
They go to work. They go to work under a journeyman.
Right.
So it is it offers those kids a lot of opportunity.
I have a nephew that finished that program and went to work, and he's been employed now until he goes to Moscow to college, and he has been very, very excited about it. So I was appreciative of it, and I know his parents were too. So it was good.
Did I see your hand going up, Miss Bateman?
Yes, I was just wondering if you could fill me in a little bit more about this program that you're talking so highly of that I've never heard about.
Mrs. Kidd can probably give it the best. Head.
She's got it.
Do you want to use the microphone?
I hate this thing. I have a good teacher voice. The Machine Operators Program is designed in conjunction with High Desert Milk and McCain's Foods, and there's a couple other industries that are interested in it, and the students attend classes with various instructors, and they teach them on OSHA safety. They instruct them on running machinery, welding, chemical safety. There's all kinds of different things that they learn throughout the program. And while they're doing it, they're participating in an apprenticeship in which includes a job in which they are paid the entire time. And then throughout that time that they're paid, they are earning incentives. So as they learn things and pass things off, then they are allowed to receive raises throughout their education. And in the summers, they actually go to work for these companies that are training them. So the companies are very interested in the individuals because they're putting time and effort and funds into them, and they would really like them to come to work for them. And so they kind of compete for these kids. And then they complete the first year. They work for those companies all summer long, making anywhere between $10 and $16 an hour. And then the next summer they go into the second half of the program, and it's a little more in depth and takes a little more time, but a little more intense, and those kids are also given a little more responsibility throughout that second year. And then 9 out of 10 times they are offered a job. And within that, the companies also offer help if they attend a college, and then plan to come back and work for those companies. So I know I know of at least one Minico student who was paid while he went to school, and his tuition and some other things were paid by McCain's, and then he returned and is now working for them and has a college degree. But when they finish their apprenticeship, those kids have the opportunity then to work under what they call the journeyman status, and they work right alongside those people that are journeymans in these businesses, and then they have the opportunity to further their career. The whole point is to grow your own, and that these kids will go to work in our industry and be successful at it. So the students that they introduced the other night and were given certificates, they completed their second year. There were 4 of them that will be going to work for High Desert Milk and McCain's. So they had great things to say about the work ethic of the students and how hard. And at that time, those kids had to be at those trainings from 6:30 to 7:30, and then had to go to school. So they had to be really committed. But now they've changed it to the 7 to 9 and the 9 to 11. So they have to apply. There is an application process, and if you know anybody that's interested, get a hold of Chet Jepson at the Department of Labor. He has everything that you need to apply. If you have high school kids at Minico, Donna Cameron has the applications, and she can get you signed up for that as well. So it's a wonderful program. Not all kids are meant to go to a 4-year college right out of school, and they want to go to work and get on with their lives. And this is a great opportunity because they receive all of the training and certification that they need to go right into industry.
Okay. You have any other questions, Ms. Bateman?
That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the part they couldn't miss more than 3 times.
Right.
It teaches
Right.
them responsibility.
There's a 3 strikes, you're out. Yep, 3 strikes, and they hold really close to that.
Yeah.
So, and you have to be passing your other classes as well. They want you to do well in school, and they're super supportive. They'll support kids. They'll help them with homework and whatever else. They really want these kids to be successful, but to be in industry as well. So it's really it's a positive thing. And Chet Jepson's been a great partner through the Department of Labor. He is awesome to work with.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that impromptu speech, Ms. Skid. Okay, that leads us to the business items that are action items for tonight. Right off the bat, our first thing, the amended agenda, we want to discuss the money.
The governor's
Yes, the governor's substitute and classified money allocated to our district came to the amount of $145,000. It has to be spent by December 15th, 2021. And it is recommended that we use this money as kind of an incentive, that we give substitutes who work 25 days or more from August to December 15th will receive a $300 bonus, or whatever word we can use for that. Is there anything else that we made?
And then the classified would get
the classified will go towards a $300 bonus for all full-time classified employees, and part-time employees will receive a bonus which is prorated depending upon the number of hours worked. This will cost the district $151,000 and $273, which is a difference of what we're getting from the state of $6,273. The district will pay the additional amount out of general funds, and this is Mr. Ramsey's recommendation to us, and so we need to take action on this so that this can happen and the monies can be dispersed before the 15th of December. Okay. Did I leave anything out?
Real good, Madam Chair.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion that we accept the recommendation from Mr. Ramsey for the use of the governor's substitute and classified monies as allocated and suggested in this letter to the board.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Parker.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Anderson. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is now part of the record. We have also been asked to give our approval to an East Minico Esport Club, which is certainly something that blows my mind that there's a club for kids to play games on computers.
I need it explained to me.
What?
I need it explained to me.
Mr. Heath.
Can I speak up on that?
Please.
So this past August, we went up to Boise for our administrators conference.
Mr. Heath, right behind you, Ms. Bateman has the.
I have a good teacher voice too.
Well, but in order to come
Yeah.
through.
Okay, gotcha. So this past August, we went to our administrators conference, and at one point, one of the sessions, I went over to the Boise State esports center that they have there. And just so you know, I didn't know this, but Boise State is kind of like the Alabama or Duke of esports. And that may seem strange to say, but what's really interesting about this is when I sat down and talked to these guys, they were saying last year, Boise State offered $100,000 in scholarships for esports athletes. I know we use the term athletes loosely when they're playing video games, but these are actually very dedicated people, and they're earning scholarships to college for their ability to play video games. And I know that sounds strange. Next year, they're hoping to offer $150,000 in scholarships. At East Minico, we have students who will never be athletes, students who maybe never be musical or performing arts, but we have students who love to game, and they do that on their free time, and they do that at home. We're trying to set up a team that would actually help them to become, rather than just sitting in their home doing nothing, they're actually doing something at our school, and we're encouraging that and fostering a team environment. And then hopefully getting them, these kids are not, like a lot like sports, a lot of these kids think, oh, I'm going to go pro in this, and they don't, just like most college athletes. And same with esports, they do it, they get their scholarship, they get their education, and then they go pro in something else. So I know it's really interesting to talk about, but we're looking for a really positive environment, and I know Minico is starting to set something up as well, and I think it's just going to be really great. We got a lot of kids who are interested in it. So
I thought our goal was to get the kids off of that gaming stuff.
The goal is to get the kids to be productive with their lives, right? And
productive and gaming.
Right. And we could go into a discussion about how much more productive is a game of basketball as opposed to a video game. We could go into that discussion, but either way, we're trying to help these kids develop teamwork, character traits, the sorts of things that will get them to become better people in the long run. And so getting them to college, if that's the way they're going to get to college, I'm all for it. I mean, I've got some kids who I think really probably could be that, like that's their one avenue. They might not have any other avenue, but that's their one avenue.
Can I add to that too?
Am I correct that they also have to maintain a GPA to be part of this? So just like an athlete, they have to keep their grades up.
Sports. Yep.
So.
Right, and I guess I would just add, we were on a Zoom call with several individuals from different schools in the Magic Valley. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about gaming, you can play games with people across the world. But in this particular call, we were on a call with Minico and Burley High School. Jerome was involved, and really the goal is to have a Magic Valley group that gets to play together and against each other. So it was kind of interesting. So I think my answer to people who roll their eyes at video games and stuff is this: anything that gets a student involved in a positive activity with a positive adult or other positive peers is a good activity. We know we talk all the time in our district or other districts about kids not having opportunities to do positive things. So whatever it happens to be, if it's not destructive, is a good thing in my opinion. So, I mean, if these kids come and interact with Mitchell Young and Mr. Heath and whoever we get on board, that hour or 2 hours they spend every week is going to be a good 2 hours. And some of those kids don't have those 2 hours that are positive. And, we can argue about the whole video game athlete type of thing. I mean, I can come out of retirement. I'm a supreme athlete if we count video games, but I can't jump 3 inches. But I think it's just a matter of getting kids involved at the middle school level, especially. We don't have almost anything except for sports. So anything we can do to get them involved, I think.
Mr. Grant. So I take it it's just schools playing schools. There's no outside people playing at all.
Right. The kind of the cool part about it is it's just Magic Valley schools playing, because it means a little bit more if you're playing kids from Jerome than it is you're playing kids in New York. And these kids, I mean, frankly, these kids are playing anyway, some of them, and this just give them another way to interact with outside of the school setting.
So explain these leagues to me. The Rocket League, the Smash Bros. What?
I mean, so those are the games that they would be playing, and there are probably 6 or 7 different games that they could be playing. We're starting small and just going with Rocket League and Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is like Super Mario Brother characters who use different instruments to hit each other and knock each other off of stuff. Okay,
it's
fun. It is fun. We're gonna have to get you to play Mary just at some point. And Rocket League is kind of like it's a bunch of cars that are driving around and they're playing soccer in an arena. They're bumping a soccer ball into a goal, and again, they just have to employ different methods, different tools, and there's strategy involved. I mean, you don't just show up and play and then hope that something good happens. You do have to get a team strategy going and get your team working together.
So how many's on a team?
You know what? This is so new to me that I don't even. Like, I played Rocket League and Smash Brothers like a few times. I'm not a gamer. I promise you. I don't even have a game console at home. What I know is that I want students involved in positive activities. And when I saw what was happening at Boise State, and the fact that there's even a television broadcast channel. I'm talking like the ESPN of esports. And there's 2 commentators sitting there commenting on the game at halftime saying, oh yeah, we really liked how LSU, took this strategy. It sounds hilarious, but we're also talking about people who are employed behind a camera. People are getting broadcast experience. Like, it's crazy that it opens up almost exactly the same amount of doors as any regular sport. So, yeah.
It's happening right now.
It's happening, and this is the reality of something that's becoming something real.
So
I don't know that off the top of my head. We're gonna get the league organized.
So what's the $15? What's it need to go for?
So we're hoping to get T-shirts for the kids, and we need to upgrade. Like, we're working with tech right now to upgrade. They're talking about resurrecting some old computers or something, and then getting some graphics cards that will run the software that will run the actual game. So, I mean, if we get that together, then we'll just have some dedicated computers just for that.
And West Minico's doing the same thing.
No, West isn't. Minico High School.
Oh, it's Minico High School.
You just heard about this. It's going to be kind of interesting, though, to see how this goes, but it might be something for us to look into.
So they're the beta program while you guys come in on it. That's what you're saying.
So this is starting at Minico. Is that what we're saying? No.
So we had a gaming club. We've had a gaming club that they played like within the school. They played each other like Madden Sports, and then they had a game. They had a Pokemon game, and they had a game called Magic that they played. And we just played each other, at the school. But when Mrs. Cameron heard about the opportunity to do the esports, she was all over that, because she has a coding class.
Mm-hmm.
She has a class that teaches coding. So now they're strategizing with their knowledge to be part of this team. And so she had 46 kids very interested in this. So they've had 2 meetings. One of them was tonight. So
I'm sorry, Kim.
Big deal.
I was just going to piggyback on that. We put a survey out to our students. I think is a critical part of this, asking them to rank order 5 or 6 different activities that we might pursue after school, and this won by a landslide.
Overwhelming.
So that kind of opened our eyes, like, oh, these. I mean, we have some kids that might actually participate in this. So we weren't. It's not like we were like, hey, let's do this for our fun. Like the kids, that's what they choose.
And do they realize they've still got to keep their grade level up there and all of that? Because I can see that there's a lot of them gaming. Oh
And
yeah,
that's why they're in that hole.
they don't. Yeah, because they don't want to get off the couch. So.
Right.
I think we will find some kids who realize when there's actual work involved, they'll drop out.
No, I'm sure.
There are some kids who's like, I love gaming, and then they get there and they realize, oh, we actually have to work together as a team, and they're like, I'm just going to go sit in my living room and do that. And I guess that's fine, but we're trying to get kids to harness whatever skills they have and make it into something positive.
Exercise too.
That'd be great. I know that there are teams. Burley High School does this, and then when I talked to the Boise State coach, they said they do a fitness aspect because they know that a fit body is a sharp mind, and they want to keep I know they're playing video games, but they want to keep them fit, and a lot of their best esports athletes are actually really superb athletes on the playing field and the court as well. One of the kids they were talking Boise State, their best esports athlete actually was a scholarship basketball player as well. So, it was really interesting. So,
thank you.
My skills changed since I was there.
Okay. Well, now that we have that information, are you ready to okay the request for the East Minico Esport Club? If so, then I would entertain a motion for acceptance of the request for the East Minico Esport Club.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sukan.
I'll second.
Second by Dr. Parker. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we also have a request for Minico Esports fundraiser, and it looks to me like what this is. Was this to increase? Oh,
Not just a fee.
entry fee of $5 to compete. Right. Okay. So, are there any comments or questions on this one?
So where would that money go to for their entry fees? Do you know, Kim?
They're going to use it for various things to get started. The Booster Club, actually, Mrs. Cameron has been working with the Booster Club to buy the switches. Fortunately, Mrs. Cameron, because of her job, she has all the updated computers, so we're kind of one step ahead there. But they want to do the t-shirts, they want to start having some funds to start building towards if they go to state. State where this is in Boise, so they have to travel, they have to, it's really, like, honestly, it's a big deal, and they honestly think esports will probably be sanctioned in the next 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
It is a big deal. So
okay. It's just not worth ignoring it, in my opinion, and pretending like we're just going to do the same old thing. We see it becoming something really big, and we want our kids to be involved. So.
Well, if it helps kids keep their grades up and maybe get a scholarship.
Well, that's the thing. They have to meet all the requirements. So at Minico, they have to meet all the requirements of like our bowling team. Bowling is a club.
Sure.
But they pay a fee. They fundraise. They compete. They go to state. They do everything. And that's the same with esports. It's going to be the same thing. In the next year, bowling will probably be sanctioned, and then right after that, esports will be right behind it.
Thank you.
It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around sitting and something I do on my iPad just to relax, that they're going to turn it into a club and a game.
Well,
so.
and that, I guess all of the other things, they're getting exercise. Gaming, you're not getting exercise other than mind. It's keeping them out of trouble. Okay.
Well, I think that
Well, it's
We'll
part of
try.
the-
But
We'll try.
we can't ignore it just
No.
because we don't understand
No.
it necessarily. So we need to.
Well, there's a team working component to it too. That's
Yeah.
to me is worth a lot.
Yeah.
They have to strategize,
Yeah.
they have to work together, they have to plan. And honestly, I agree with Dustin. I think like Mrs. Cameron, she can get those kids up. Let's go for a walk. Let's go outside. Let's do some things to, to prepare. So before every gaming session, she can do that. But literally, you should hear the buzz in there. Come and watch it on Monday nights in Mrs. Cameron's room. It's really quite interesting.
Okay. All right. Then are we going to approve this fundraiser request? If so, I need a motion
So
for
moved.
approval. Motion by Dr. Parker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sukan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We also have a request from the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, the FCCLA, to have a fundraiser and increase their dues so that they can do a little bit more participating than what they've been able to do right now. They want to have 2 fundraisers. They've reorganized and they would like to be able to qualify for state and nationals. They want to raise their membership fee $15 to $30, as also the state and national have been increased, and this would match that. Anyway, so there's the dues as well as
The fundraisers.
Yeah, the fundraisers. So we can do this into one motion. So
Madam Chair.
yes, sir.
Ms. Kidd, didn't we have a discussion? This is a new teacher, so these didn't make the original fundraising list because she didn't know.
That's right.
Our FCCLA has not been affiliated for several years. And so dues are actually increased from it. That tells you how long we haven't been affiliated. That dues are
Actually $30, not 15. So it's been a while since we were affiliated, and so we have a new teacher. We were very, very fortunate this year to hire 2 really strong FCCLA teachers. And Mrs. Colson is very involved, and she is just a leader, and she really wants to get FCCLA back off the ground, and she wants to get it affiliated, and she wants to give these kids opportunities to compete, present, and do things within this organization. And so she is going to be the new advisor, and she needs to have a couple fundraisers, and she needs to be able to increase dues and get things going.
Do you happen to know what the fundraisers might be, that what she's thinking about?
The fundraisers? She wants to do a breakfast with Santa, and then the second fundraiser is they're going to resurrect some sewing machines and some embroidery machines that Minico has. And Mrs. Reddington is going to come and help teach how to use that, and they're going to do some embroidery on some items and sell them.
There used to be a lot of embroidery coming out of Minico.
Yes, there used to be.
Yes.
Yep. So they are going to, like I said, they're resurrecting some things. Mrs. Stevenson, when she came on board 2 years ago, she had all of the sewing machines. We had to send them all to Twin to have them checked and updated, and she used them. But Mrs. Colson and Miss Rangel, and Catherine all want to get this off the ground and do something. Minico's used to be huge. The FCCLA used to be a really big deal. We had Brutus Bakery.
Yeah.
We had the embroidery. We had some things, and they would like to get that back. So they have some great plans.
I'd like to see Brutus Bakery come back. That would be fun.
I would like to see Brutus Bakery come back too.
All right.
I don't know if we could all stand. They had grilled cheese wars the other day. and they invited several of us to come up and judge the grilled cheese wars. I don't know if we could stand Brutus Bakery. It smelled so good through the halls. It was fabulous.
Nothing
So
like
maybe
the
the
smell
board
of
could be taste testers or something, you know.
Yeah.
So does that mean you are making the motion, Mr. Sukan, to approve the FCCLA fundraiser?
Oh, I think I better, yeah.
Motion by Mr. Sukan. Do I hear second? Second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Student Council for West Minico is asking for a fundraiser as well. Actually, this is the one that you've already approved, right? We're just giving it official approval.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion for approval of the West Minico Student Council fundraiser.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Anderson.
Second.
Second by Dr. Parker. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We need to have a vote on record for the ISBA resolutions, and so as well as giving us direction on how to vote at the convention. So therefore, I would entertain a motion for how the board would like us to vote for the voting for the resolutions at the convention.
I didn't see anything that stood out as far as a big question.
Some of them I found interesting. I never thought about the fact that the age requirement, public school accountability requirement, and yet we require this to get the Idaho high school graduation rate up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one makes a lot of sense to me. I liked that one.
On the career ladder placement for out-of-state teachers, I
Yes.
thought that was something that,
That's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have people, we need to pay them.
right, if
Get
they're
them on the career ladder.
Right.
if they're highly experienced teachers, why?
Well, and why not be able to hire licensed counselors to be counselors in our schools? Expand the pool. So, anyway,
Did I say 4 is out? Is that right?
excuse me?
4. Number 4 is out.
4 is out. Yes.
Got it.
So it's just
Not. So we'll only have 8.
Yep. There will be 8 to vote on.
Okay.
All right. So I'd entertain a motion for authorizing members attending the convention to vote yay on the resolutions as presented in our board book.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sukan.
Did we vote on that?
Did you get that?
Okay.
I don't even know what I said, so good luck.
Motion for authorizing members attending the convention to vote yay
Authorized voting.
on just the resolutions,
Yes. Convention resolutions.
convention resolutions.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Anderson.
First.
Any further discussion or questions?
First. Okay.
Any
Because
further-
it's me and you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Did you have any questions or comments on the audit? We need to give our acceptance and approval of the audit, our acceptance of the audit.
We need to do E first.
Did I see that? Am I looking at the wrong one?
So the new one, E.
The one that's on board book is only ISBA and acceptance.
E
I'm
is
sorry.
I don't see that one there.
And then the audit. We just purchase order process. Oh, we don't have that one.
Yeah, that's not on this one here.
Where'd you
Must
get
be
your-
the
where'd you
updated
get
That must
version.
be the old one that we had
I
last
think
Monday.
so.
Okay. All right. I would entertain a motion for acceptance of the 2020-2021 audit.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Parker.
Second.
That was a tie. Second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. We are down to our policies. Policies 1 through 6 are ones that had small changes to them that we can pass on the first reading just because it's just updates or wording changes that match what we have now. Policies 7 and 8, these are for review only because they have not been reviewed in quite some time, so we were asked to review those. And then we go down to ones that would be held over. So policies 9, 10, 11, and 12 are ones that are going to be held over. These are all first readings. They need to have a second reading for sure. So, did anyone have any comments or questions on policies 1 through 6? Understood all of the small changes and everything that was there? Okay.
Not that big.
And policies 7 and 8 for review, were there any questions regarding those that you needed to have answered? Okay. Mr. Cotton, can we say these by policy number 1 through 8, or do I have to read them all to do a group?
I think I just probably read them all.
Okay. And I would entertain a motion for acceptance of policy D130.00 district planning, policy D386.60P head lice procedure, policy D410.00 complaints concerning district employees, policy D524.00 employee drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, policy D546.00 staff travel, policy D810.00 district-owned vehicles, and for review, policy DR832.00 student wellness, and policy R834.00 nutrition. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sukan.
Second.
Second by Dr. Parker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That gets us to the others that are being held over for next time. So we have 4 policies that we're going to be addressing again next time.
I know last time at our board meeting we had discussed. At the last board meeting, you guys had kind of addressed the policy for head lice. Has that been changed or anything that I have missed, or what's official on that?
The decision, as we are looking at it, was that the nurses are requesting this, and we're going to accept their recommendations for this. And that's why, even though it looks like it's a first reading, we've already discussed it. We've already agreed that we looked at it and said, okay, then we can pass it next time if that's the board's idea. So that's what we're doing.
You had mentioned that, like, there was some sort of things somewhere out there. They were saying that you had to send your kid home or something.
It used to be that way. They had to go home immediately if they had head lice detected. However, the nurses are saying they can take that child, they can give them some information, they can call the parent, they have a whole schedule of steps that they follow, so that there's not the stigma of sending them home during the day. So that was their recommendation. That is what they are doing now. And it's also CDC as well as American Academy of Pediatrics are recommending this as well. And so that's why we've made this discussion, had this discussion, and now we're going with their recommendation.
Madam Chair, also along with that, after the parent is called, if the parent chooses to come and pick the child up immediately, they can.
Yes.
But they don't have to, because a lot of times parents work, they cannot get there for a couple of hours or something of that effect. So
they're just given the students are given instructions on what not to do once they've been discovered. So example, no getting close to your friend with your head, things like that. So they're given instructions on safe handling of themselves basically until they get home. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for asking for clarification of the statement. Is there any other comments anyone has to make? Then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'm sorry, who said that? Mr. Sukan.
Second.
Motion second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.